A cold wind swept across the San Francisco overlook as Claire tightened her coat, staring at the glowing bridge below. It was supposed to be an ordinary evening, just another shift finished, just another quiet ride home. But then a single envelope appeared on her doorstep, written in a handwriting she hadn't seen in nearly 15 years. And now, with her heart unsteady, she stood at the place where the past had quietly returned. Years of buried pain began to surface as she looked at the picture inside the envelope, one small photograph that carried a whole lifetime. Her brother had vanished without a trace, leaving 2 children behind and a wound that never fully closed. Claire had raised them alone, through storms and sacrifices, shaping a life built from love, fear, and resilience. She thought she had finally learned to live without answers. But tonight, the past whispered louder than ever. What waited beyond that silence was a truth she never expected, one that challenged everything she believed about abandonment, strength, and family. This was the beginning of an emotional story, a life-changing story about second chances, hidden pain, and the fragile courage it takes to forgive. Before we begin this emotional story, tell us in the comments from which city you are watching, and don't forget to leave your like to keep following us. The wind rolled in from the bay with a cold edge, carrying the faint scent of salt and the hum of early morning traffic below the cliffs of San Francisco. Claire stood alone on the narrow balcony of the small apartment she had rented for nearly 2 decades, wrapping her fingers around a chipped mug that no longer kept the heat like it used to. Dawn painted the Golden Gate Bridge in slow gold, and she let the quiet settle over her shoulders like a fragile kind of peace. Inside, 2 teenage voices argued about who had borrowed whose sneakers again. The sound floated through the cracked window behind her, familiar, chaotic, and strangely comforting. Claire closed her eyes for a moment. Those voices were the reason she woke up every morning, even on the days when everything in her body asked her to rest. They had been her entire world, ever since the night her brother disappeared without a note, a call, or a trace. She turned as Emily stepped onto the balcony, her hair still messy from sleep, hoodie half-zipped. Emily leaned her elbows on the railing beside her, staring at the orange towers piercing the fog. "You're up early again," Emily murmured. Claire shrugged, letting a small smile soften her fatigue. "The sunrise was loud," Emily smirked. "That's not how sunrises work. Tell that to this one." For a moment, they stayed quietly side by side. Claire often wondered how much of Emily's calm strength had grown from loss, and how much from resilience that was already inside her. The girl's younger brother, Lucas, burst onto the balcony next, shoes mismatched, backpack unzipped. "Aunt Claire, did you sign the field trip form?" Claire reached for the kitchen counter behind her, grabbing a paper already signed. "It's right here. And zip your backpack before something important falls out." Lucas rolled his eyes dramatically, but zipped it. Claire didn't say it out loud, but mornings like this were the closest thing she had to a reward for the sacrifices she made. The 3 of them had built something, messy, imperfect, but real. A heartwarming story in its own quiet way. But as the kids hurried inside to get ready for school, Claire's gaze drifted back to the bridge. A strange tightness lingered in her chest, the same one that had been growing for days. Something she couldn't name. A sense of an old door creaking open somewhere far away. And for a second, she thought she saw someone, a man, standing at the far end of the bridge, still and deliberate, as if searching for something he had lost. But when she blinked, he was gone. The morning rush spilled into the small kitchen, where Claire moved between the stove and the counter with practiced familiarity. Eggs sizzled softly, the smell warming the room despite the fog pressing against the windows. Lucas rummaged through drawers in search of a missing pencil, while Emily tied her shoelaces with a slow, distant look Claire had learned to pay attention to. "You okay?" Claire asked gently, sliding a plate toward her. Emily hesitated. "Mrs. Dalton said the college fair is coming next month. Everyone's parents are going." Claire froze for a heartbeat before hiding it behind a nod. "I'll be there." Emily's eyes lifted. "You don't have to." "I want to," Claire cut in softly. Lucas stomped over with triumph as he found the pencil behind the toaster. "Told you it wasn't my fault," Claire laughed under her breath. "No one said it was." They moved through the morning rhythm until the apartment buzzer rang. A sharp sound that didn't belong. Claire stiffened. Hardly anyone visited them without warning. "I'll check," she murmured. She descended the narrow stairway and opened the front door. A small package sat on the mat. No label except her name written in familiar handwriting. Handwriting she hadn't seen in nearly 15 years. Her breath thinned. She knelt, fingertips hovering before she finally picked it up. The cardboard felt too light for the weight it carried. Back upstairs, she set the package on the counter. The kids instantly sensed the tension. "Who's it from?" Lucas asked. Claire swallowed. "I'm not sure." She opened it carefully. Inside lay a single photograph, an old one of her brother, and the kids as toddlers. Folded beneath it was a short note, written in the same unmistakable hand. "I'm sorry, I'm back in San Francisco." Emily's breath hitched. Lucas frowned in confusion. Claire held the note with unsteady fingers, a deep old ache waking inside her chest, something closer to a hidden pain she thought time had blurred. "Does this mean he's coming here?" Emily whispered. Claire didn't answer. She wasn't sure. But she knew one thing. Whatever this was, whatever he wanted after all these years, her world was about to shift. And somewhere across the city, a man stood staring at the bridge again, hands in his pockets, waiting for the right moment to step out of the past. The school drop-off line crawled forward, cars inching along under the pale mid-morning light. Claire kept both hands on the steering wheel, though her mind was miles away. Emily noticed. She always did. "Aunt Claire, do you want to talk about the note?" the girl asked softly. Claire kept her eyes ahead. "Not while you two are in the car." Lucas groaned. "Is it bad?" Emily shot him a look. "Just let her breathe." Claire forced a small smile. "Go on, you'll be late." Emily stepped out first, lingering at the door. "If he comes back, it doesn't change anything here." Claire stared at her. Even with fear in her voice, the girl's steadiness held. "I know," Claire whispered. "Have a good day." Lucas waved, already distracted by a group of friends. As soon as they disappeared past the gate, Claire let out a breath she didn't know she had been holding. The silence inside the car felt heavier without them, like the past finally had room to sit beside her. She drove toward her part-time job at a community center near the marina. The halls echoed faintly with children's laughter and the scuff of sneakers on the gym floor. It usually centered her, grounded her. But today every sound felt distant, every face blurred. "Claire, you're early," said Marisol, the receptionist, raising an eyebrow. "Couldn't stay home," Claire replied, hanging her coat. "You look like you saw a ghost." "Maybe I did." Claire spent the next hours sorting donated clothes, folding them with mechanical precision. But her thoughts kept circling back to the handwriting, the photograph, the years of silence that had carved a hollow place inside her. Near noon, her phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number appeared. "I need to see you today." She froze. The air around her seemed to tighten as though the room itself held its breath. Another message followed, just one line. "I'm at the overlook near the bridge." Claire read it again, her pulse thudding. The same spot she had watched earlier that morning, the same silhouette she thought she had imagined. She set the phone down slowly, palms damp. A choice waited in that message, one she had spent years fearing. And outside, the fog began to pull back, as if making room for whatever came next. Claire stood at the bus stop near the marina, the kind of place where cold wind slipped through every layer of clothing. She didn't usually take the bus, but today the idea of driving toward him made her hands tremble. The bus hissed to a stop and she stepped inside, choosing a seat by the window. As the city rolled past, Victorian houses, steep hills, the distant glitter of the bay, her breath fogged the glass. She watched her reflection blur and sharpen, a woman carrying years she never planned to carry, a woman who had raised two kids that weren't hers, a woman who had been both mother and anchor. And now the man who'd left all that behind wanted to see her. The bus climbed toward the Presidio, where eucalyptus trees swayed in slow, whispering arcs. Claire got off near the overlook, her legs stiff from the tension she'd kept locked inside her body. The air smelled of salt, metal, and something older, memory. As she approached the railing, a man stood there, back turned, hands gripping the metal as though it might steady him. His shoulders lifted slightly when he heard her steps. He turned, older, thinner, lines carved deep around his eyes. But the shape of the jaw, the way he shifted his weight, the familiar tilt of the head, it was him, her brother. He opened his mouth, but no words came. Claire stopped several feet away, arms crossed against the cold. "Why now?" she asked, voice quiet but firm. He swallowed hard. "Because I finally have something to offer. I'm not the man who left. I've rebuilt everything. I can help you. I can help the kids." Claire felt a strange mix of anger and exhaustion simmer beneath her ribs. "Help? You disappear for years without a single call, and now you think help is what I need?" He stepped closer, cautiously. "I know you're angry. You should be. But I'm a different man now. Claire, I built a company. I'm not struggling anymore. I'm rich," she cut in. "Is that what you want me to say?" His eyes flickered with something like shame. A long silence stretched between them. Wind, breath, the low hum of the bridge. "Where were you?" she whispered. His jaw trembled. He looked down. "I wasn't strong enough to stay." And the truth in that single sentence hit her harder than any excuse he could have prepared. For a moment, Claire couldn't move. His words lingered in the cold air, heavy and uneven. She had imagined 1,000 excuses he might give, but not this. An admission so raw it slipped past her defenses. "What does that even mean, Noah?" she asked quietly. He winced at the sound of his own name on her lips. "I didn't know how to be a father. I didn't know how to be anything back then." Claire stared at him, searching for the boy she once knew. He had been the reckless dreamer, the one who made promises under star-soaked summer skies, the one who should have grown into the dependable man their parents hoped for. Instead, he had shattered under pressures she hadn't seen until it was too late. "And you think disappearing was the answer?" she whispered. "No," he said softly. "It was the worst mistake of my life. Every day I've carried it. Every day." The waves crashed far below the cliffs, steady, relentless, like a pulse reminding them both of the years that had been lost. He reached into his coat and pulled out a small envelope. "This is for the kids. I've been successful these last few years. Maybe I can make up for some of what they missed." Claire didn't take it. "Money doesn't mend what you broke. I know." His voice cracked slightly. "But maybe it can give them choices I never had." She felt something in her chest twist, an ache mixed with fear, anger, and something she refused to call hope. You don't get to walk back into their lives as a millionaire CEO and pretend that solves anything. He looked at her, eyes bright with guilt. "I'm not pretending. I'm trying." Claire's throat tightened. She had raised those kids on part-time jobs, late nights, quiet sacrifices. She had been the safety net he abandoned. Now he wanted to return with polished shoes and a cleaned-up life. "Do they know you're here?" Claire asked. "No, I wanted to talk to you first." "Well," she said, stepping back, "they're not children anymore, and they don't need a stranger making promises." She turned toward the path, but his voice stopped her. "Claire, can I at least see them?" She didn't answer. She simply kept walking, her heartbeat louder than the wind. A decision would come, she knew, but not today. The late afternoon light stretched long across the community center floor, warming the faded tiles as Claire finished stacking donated boxes. Her muscles ached, but her mind was louder than her body, echoing with every word Noah had said. The envelope, the apology, the question, can I at least see them? She didn't know what scared her more, the idea of letting him near the kids again, or the possibility that they might want him. Marisol stepped into the storage room, raising an eyebrow. "You're still here? Your shift ended an hour ago." Claire forced a small smile. "Lost track of time." "Which means something is wrong," Marisol replied. "Come on, sit." They settled onto a wooden bench near the window, where kids played basketball in the gym, their laughter bouncing off the walls. Marisol nudged her gently. "Talk to me." "My brother came back," Claire murmured. Marisol blinked. "The one who disappeared?" Claire nodded. "Well, that's a lot. That's one way to put it." Claire rubbed her palms together. "He says he changed, says he's successful now, wants to see the kids. And you don't know if you should let him." Claire exhaled shakily. "I don't want them hurt again. They've built so much, healed so much." Marisol studied her for a moment. "But they're stronger now. Maybe stronger than you think." The words lingered. Claire wasn't sure she believed them. Her phone buzzed. "Emily, we're home. Are you okay?" Claire typed back quickly. "Leaving now." "Order dinner? I'll pay when I get home." As she drove toward the apartment, night draped itself over the city. Streetlights flickered through the windshield like brief sparks. When she parked and climbed the stairs, she heard the kids' voices, low, curious, tense. Emily opened the door before Claire could knock. "We saw the envelope on the counter," she said quietly. "We know it was from him." Lucas stood behind her, eyes wide but brave. "Is he coming back?" Claire stepped inside, closing the door behind her. She looked at their faces, so different, yet shaped by the same silent history. "I don't know," she said honestly, "but we'll decide together." Lucas shifted. "Do you want us to meet him?" The question clawed at her. "I want you safe." Emily exchanged a glance with her brother, then met Claire's eyes. But sometimes safety isn't the same as silence. Her words hung there, soft, steady, and impossible to ignore. Night settled unevenly over the apartment, shadows stretching across the living room as the three of them sat around the small dining table. No TV, no homework, just a quiet that felt heavier than usual. Claire traced the edge of her mug with her thumb. "You both deserve the truth. Your father wants to see you." Lucas sat back, frowning thoughtfully. "What does he look like now?" The question startled her. "Older," she said softly. "Tired. Different." "Different how?" Emily asked. Claire hesitated, searching for the right words. Like someone who's been running for a long time and finally stopped. Emily folded her arms, her jaw tightening. "So now he just comes back? After everything?" Claire flinched at the edge in her voice. "I know it's confusing." "It's not confusing," Emily said. "It's unfair." Lucas looked down at his hands. "Do you hate him?" Claire blinked, surprised. "No," she whispered. "I don't hate him. I hated what he did. But hate doesn't raise kids. Love does." Emily's eyes softened, but her chin trembled for a second before she hid it. Claire leaned closer. "Listen, I raised you both because I wanted to, because I loved you more than the fear of failing." Lucas shifted his chair, sliding closer to her. "You didn't fail." And for a moment those three words eased something deep inside her. Then Emily took a slow breath. "If we meet him, do you have to come too?" Claire paused. "Do you want me there?" "Yeah," Lucas blurted out. Emily nodded, though her voice was quieter. "He left us, but you stayed. You should be there." A gentle knock sounded on the door. All three of them froze. Claire's breath caught. No one was expected. No one ever came this late. She stood slowly, each step toward the door feeling heavier than the last. When she opened it, her heart lurched. It wasn't Noah. It was a woman, mid-40s, elegance wrapped in exhaustion, holding a thin folder against her chest. Her eyes softened with recognition the moment she saw Claire. "Are you Claire Bennett?" the woman asked. "Yes," Claire said cautiously. The woman exhaled. "I'm connected to your brother, and I think you need to know the full story before you make any decisions." She lifted the folder slightly. Inside, a truth waited, one Claire never saw coming. Claire stepped aside, letting the woman enter. The air shifted immediately, like someone had carried a storm inside her coat. Emily and Lucas stood near the table, shoulders tense, watching every move. The woman offered a polite, apologetic smile. "My name is Dr. Mara Ellington," Claire frowned. "Doctor, I'm a psychiatrist," she said gently. "Your brother was my patient for several years." Emily crossed her arms. "Why are you here now?" Mara held the folder a little closer. "Because he finally gave me permission, and because he's terrified he'll lose the chance to explain." Claire swallowed, her pulse quickening. "Explain what exactly?" Mara opened the folder, revealing papers, medical forms, handwritten notes, and a worn photograph that had clearly been folded too many times. She laid it all out carefully on the table, as if placing something fragile that might break if touched too quickly. "Noah didn't leave because he didn't love his kids," she began. "He left because he was drowning and didn't know how to ask for help." Claire stiffened, anger flickering. "That's not an excuse." "It isn't," Mara agreed softly, "but it's the truth." She slid one of the documents toward Claire. A diagnosis, a timeline, hospital records. Claire felt her throat tighten as she read. Severe depression, anxiety disorder, substance dependency treatment, multiple relapses, attempts to rebuild, attempts that kept collapsing. Lucas looked up, voice small. "He was sick?" Mara nodded. "Very. And he hated himself for how far he'd fallen." Emily's eyes flashed with conflict, hurt tangled with something like recognition. "Then why didn't he tell us? Why didn't he tell her?" "Shame," Mara replied, "and fear of looking into the eyes of the people he loved most, knowing he'd already broken them." Claire's fingers trembled as she held the papers. For years she had carried anger like armor, but now, between the words and the dates, she saw pieces of a man she once knew slipping through the cracks. Mara took a slow breath. "He spent years trying to get stable, years trying to become someone who could show up without hurting you again. The success you see now, that came after he rebuilt himself brick by brick." Claire stared down at the table, the medical history blurring. Mara leaned closer. "He didn't come back because he's rich. He came back because he's finally well." The room fell silent, heavy, fragile, and full of a new kind of ache. And then Mara spoke one more sentence, quiet as a confession. "He almost came back too late." Claire felt the words echo in her chest. "He almost came back too late." Something cold slipped down her spine. Emily and Lucas exchanged a worried glance. "What does that mean?" Claire asked slowly. Mara hesitated before answering. "Noah had a relapse. Almost 2 years ago. A severe one. He disappeared for weeks. No one could find him. When he finally came back, he was malnourished, confused, barely functioning." She paused, voice tightening. "That was when he decided he would either rebuild completely or he wouldn't survive." Silence filled the room. Emily's arms loosened, her defensiveness cracking. Lucas stepped closer to the table as if drawn by an invisible pull. Claire pressed her fingertips to her forehead. "He could have died, and we wouldn't have known." Mara nodded gently. "That fear, that guilt, is what pushed him through every recovery step since then." Emily's voice softened. "So when he left us, he wasn't leaving us. He was running from himself." Mara gave a sad smile. "Exactly." Claire sank into a chair, exhaustion and clarity washing over her in equal measure. For the first time in years, she wasn't sure what she felt. Anger, compassion, betrayal, understanding. They layered inside her like sediment. Mara looked at Claire with quiet intensity. "He's not asking for forgiveness. He's asking for a chance to show who he became." Lucas whispered, "Is he still near the bridge?" "Yes," Mara said. "He's been going there every day, trying to gather the courage to face you all. Today was the first time he managed to text." Emily exhaled shakily. "He was scared of us." "Terrified," Mara confirmed. Claire traced the edge of the photograph on the table, the one of her, Noah, and the kids when they were toddlers. A life before everything cracked open. Mara rose slowly. "I can take you to him if you want. Tonight or tomorrow or never, the choice is yours." Claire's breath caught. The kids' eyes were on her, waiting, trusting. She looked at their faces, the children she had raised, protected, carried through storms, and she saw something she hadn't seen earlier. They weren't afraid. Claire stood, her hands steady for the first time that day. "We'll go," she said quietly. Lucas blinked. "Tonight?" Claire nodded. "Tonight." Because some truths could not wait for morning. Night wrapped the city in a soft, trembling quiet, as Claire, Emily, and Lucas followed Mara along the winding path toward the overlook. The bridge glowed in the distance, its lights shimmering on the dark water like threads pulling them forward. Claire's heartbeat matched each footstep, steady but unsure. When they reached the final bend, Claire saw him. Noah stood alone near the railing, shoulders hunched against the wind, hands deep in his pockets. He looked smaller in the darkness, like a man waiting for a verdict he feared he didn't deserve. Mara stepped back, letting the family move ahead. Claire placed a hand gently on Emily's back and nodded to Lucas. Together they walked the last few steps. Noah turned at the sound. His breath caught. "Claire! Kids!" His voice cracked before he could say more. Emotion hit him like a wave, forcing him to steady himself on the railing. Lucas took a small step forward. "Hi." Noah swallowed hard. "Hi, buddy." His eyes shone, trembling. "You got so tall." Emily's jaw tightened, but her eyes softened. "We heard about everything." Noah exhaled shakily, shame and relief mixing in his expression. "You shouldn't have had to. I wanted to tell you myself, but I was afraid." Claire watched him closely. She saw no rehearsed speech, no polished surface, just a man stripped down to truth. Lucas moved closer. "Were you really sick?" "Yes," Noah whispered. "And I didn't think I deserved to get better. But I tried. I kept trying. And when I finally had something to offer, something real, I wanted to come home." Emily's eyes glistened. "You left us." "I know," he said, voice breaking. "And I will carry that for the rest of my life. But I never stopped loving you. Not once." A long, trembling silence settled between them. Then Lucas stepped forward and hugged him, awkward, unsure, but real. Noah froze, breath shuddering, before slowly wrapping his arms around his son. Tears slipped down his face. Emily hesitated, then took one step toward them. Claire's breath caught as Emily placed a hand on her father's shoulder. Small, hesitant, but brave. Claire stood behind them, eyes burning, heart aching. Not with anger now, with release. The wind rushed around them, the bridge lights flickering like distant stars. For the first time in years, the four of them stood in the same place, wounded, uncertain, but finally facing the same horizon. Tonight wasn't forgiveness. It was a beginning. Weeks passed after that night at the Overlook, and the Bennett apartment slowly settled into a new rhythm, one where silence no longer meant fear, and where footsteps outside the door no longer felt like threats from a forgotten past. Noah showed up carefully, gently, respecting every boundary Claire set and every hesitation the kids showed. He didn't rush. He didn't expect. He simply tried. Some days, he helped Lucas with homework at the kitchen table, pausing often to make sure he wasn't overstepping. Other days he sat beside Emily at the community center, listening more than talking, letting her lead every conversation. And little by little, the fragile space between them shifted into something steadier, something human, imperfect, and real. Claire watched it all unfold with a mixture of disbelief and quiet relief. Not because everything was healed, but because healing had finally begun. She still worked at the community center, still kept her routines, but now she carried something lighter inside her, a release she never expected to feel. And one evening, as she entered the living room, she saw something that stopped her. Emily had framed the old photograph from the envelope. It sat on a small shelf beside a new picture, one taken at the Overlook weeks after their reunion. 4 silhouettes against the wind. 4 people who had survived loss, fear, guilt, and the long road back to each other. Claire touched the frame gently. It was their epilogue. Their proof that kindness, forgiveness, and second chances didn't erase the past, but they could reshape the future. Families weren't made perfect. They were made possible. Outside, the bridge lights shimmered across the bay, steady and bright. And for the first time in years, Claire felt something she hadn't dared to hope for. Peace. Thank you for staying with us until the end of this heart-touching story. Tell us in the comments which moment touched you the most. Subscribe and turn on the bell to receive more stories that inspire and transform. Leave a like if you believe in the invisible strength of kindness, dignity, and family. And thank you for being part of this community that believes in stories with soul.